sorry.
Starting with Dave over there, we're going to come this way. Each person's going to give their 2-minute segment, and keep in mind, red up here, yellow for 30 seconds, red for your done.
Good afternoon. My name is Dave Heilker, and I'm running to be the next city council person for District 12. Because Baltimore is a city of giants. We have a gigantic, often unfair reputation that precedes us. We have gigantic problems with violence. Overdose claims 700 plus lives a year. Our schools are massively underfunded, and fewer than half of all students in our schools are college or career ready. We have huge, often egregious water bills and giant institutions who refuse to pay their fair share because those same institutions are financing our politicians through shady corporate fundraisers who want to keep big money in city politics. It is because of this that since the beginning of our campaign, the Goliaths of power in Baltimore, these giants, have been terrified that you would elect someone named Dave. For the past 5 years, I've helped turn progressive candidates for public office into progressive elected officials. In that same time, I've been asked to create impactful messages for grassroots organizations. I serve as the comms director for Strong Schools Maryland and Baltimoreans for Educational Equity, and through that work, we've been the premier organizers in the city and state to ensure that casino money goes back to where it belongs in our schools, and to fight for Kerwin and the recommendations and fully funding and passing those recommendations. In 2020, we have the chance to elect a leader who has intelligent plans to make real systemic change. Changes that will lift families out of oppressive poverty and make Baltimore City work for everyone, not just the powerful, wealthy elite. We live in the wealthiest state, in the wealthiest country in recorded human history, and we always hear about a need for a radical redistribution of wealth, but what we actually need is a radical redistribution of political power.
Yes.
Yes.
Amen.
There is light in Baltimore, and it is every single person in this room right now. And from the seats of power, they will say that our voices sound like thunder and that our ideas look like lightning. I hope that I'll earn your vote and support today. Thank you.
Next up.
How everybody doing?
Hey.
Good evening. My name is Gary Crum. I'm a community leader and a community advocate. I'm a native son of Baltimore and a native son of the 12th District. Those who have followed me for the last 4 to 6 years have watched me grow from a young man into a recent loving husband, father, 2 beautiful kids, my 1-year-old baby girl Kyla, and my 4-year-old handsome son Casey. Why I'm running? I'm running because my community and our city conditions demand it. I've been able to experience the highs and lows of our city, and if you don't know the source of the problem, how can you solve it? I live, work, suffer, and prosper right here in Baltimore, in the 12th District. That's why I'm running. And my work speaks for itself throughout the city and throughout my district. But I want to leave the voters with a question. What if? What if we took the time not to look at the candidates as Democrats or Republicans, but look at their character, morals, and the impact they have in their respective neighborhoods, if they live where they say they live? What if we elected someone whose priorities were putting the people of our city first, instead in the hands of a few corporations and business? Let's do something different. James Bond once said, not everything is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced, and I'm ready to face the challenges.
All right. All right.
Hi, I'm Bill Marker, running in the 10th District, which is that leg that sticks down when you look at the map of Baltimore. 3 sides and a leg stick down. That's us. I have lived 40 years by Martin Luther King and Washington Boulevard. 22 in my house at McHenry near Scott Street, from which I've served as president of Citizens of Figtown, and I currently represent Barry Circle on the Southwest Partnership. Recently, I've been leading 2 groups. One is the MLK Corridor Committee, trying to figure out if we can lessen the barrier that Martin Luther King creates between downtown and Southwest and West Baltimore. And that type of barrier happens elsewhere, but that's my neck of the woods. I've also initiated the 10th and coordinated the 10th District Leadership Group, which has been an informal group of leaders from throughout the 10th District, talking and sharing experiences and hearing programs. I'm a very, very well qualified candidate. This indicates how long I've been doing politics, but this is only because I worked for Bernie 4 years ago, and I support Bernie now. Check out the bumper sticker on my car. But I go back to Gene McCarthy in '68, and I got McGovern posters in the political room.
Oh, Lord.
That's the den in our house, and there's no Udall stickers there. I got the bona fides, folks. And if you want to talk revolutionary, one of the things I'm running on is one state, one rate. Check out my website, billmarker.org. You can read it. Got a couple of copies here. That we're one state of Maryland. We should all pay the same property tax rate. We should stop, the fifth majority of Marylanders should stop subsidizing the rich counties of Maryland who get more than their share and pay less than their share. There was a question about what have you done. Have you walked the walk? Well, again, going back in history, you remember some of you the fight to not spend hundreds of millions of dollars on stadiums? I was founder and president of Maryland District Sports Sanity. We could also talk about talking to frontline workers. Again, my name is Bill Marker. In the cup over there are some Bill Marker markers. Please take some and get some from me. Bill Marker.
Okay, Bill. I hear you, bro.
All right, Bill. Bill and Bill.
I'm like, well, I sat in between, you know.
I know, right?
So my name's Philip Westry. I'm running in the 12th district. My opponents are over here on the side. I decided to sit here in the middle, just because, why not? A couple things about me. I'm a public interest attorney. My background's in housing. I used to help people who are facing mortgage foreclosure when I worked at a place called St. Ambrose Housing Aid Center. I also help folks who are dealing with tax sale foreclosure, which back then included water bills. After I left St. Ambrose, I started working at a place called Maryland Center for Legal Assistance. There, I provided direct legal services for people who could not afford an attorney at the district court level. For folks who aren't here at the district court level, it's mostly civil cases, consumer debt collection cases, credit cards, bail bonds, auto repossessions. I've seen what crippling debt can do to folks. I've helped people who are facing an eviction that same day. I've seen people who are facing foreclosure and had the potential to lose their family homes. My campaign is about income inequality. Come on, everybody. My campaign is about correcting our history of income inequality and expanding housing to everyone in Baltimore City, whether they are renters or owners. I'm proud to have been able to earn the support of the AFL-CIO, Working Families, Progressive Maryland, and the reason is this. My ideas are sound, they're based in reality, and I have built the campaign that can win. And we have an incumbent who does not show up. Our incumbent is not here today. This is, I believe, his 4th forum that he's missed. And it's mainly because he does not respect the people who live in the 12th district. Not only do I respect the folks who live in the 12th district, I've been there for them and I've shown up for them. And I respect the folks who are here who I've seen at every event. So I'm here, I'm asking for your support. I'm asking that you guys hear me out. And thank you.
Yeah.
So hello, everyone. My name is Felicia Porter. I'm running for Baltimore City Council in the 10th District. A little bit about me. I'm born, raised, and educated here in Baltimore City. Went to Institute of Notre Dame, Towson University, and Morgan State. I've lived in my community for about 7 years now, and since the first day I went there, I hit the ground running. Not only to advocate for my neighbors to City Hall, Councilman Ed Reisinger, he'll tell you, I used to visit his office every day, talking about the inequalities that are happening in the 10th district, not just at the top of the district, but all about the district. So we're talking about Pigtown, we're talking about the opioid addiction and prostitution that exists in Bolivarville and Morrell Park, the disconnectedness from Cherry Hill, Westport, and Lakeland all the way down to Curtis Bay. Since I've started this campaign 1.5 years ago, my goal was to connect all the communities of the 10th district, no matter where you live, no matter what your skin color is. We all need to be connected at City Hall, and that's what I'm about, and that's what I've been fighting for the past 1.5 years. I can go through the slew of endorsements that I have received from the Maryland AFL-CIO, Progressive Maryland, but more importantly, I've gained the trust of community. The 10th district is actually 2 legislative districts. It's the 40th and the 46th. And over a year and a half ago, people in legislative 46, they didn't know who I was. But I came with that fire. I came with that intensity to let them know that I am the person for this job. I am the person that will be bold in the face of adversity, that will be bold in the face of department heads that are not doing their respective jobs, asking those questions from a perspective of keeping the community first, not simply prioritizing what's at City Hall. So again, I'm asking for your vote. Again, I'm running for Baltimore City Council in the 10th District. I am here to work. I have the stamina, I have the wherewithal, I have the education, and I also have the community support, and I ask you for your vote.
All right.
Good afternoon. My name is Ray Conaway, and I'm a candidate for City Council in Baltimore's 10th District. I'm a lifelong resident of District 10. I grew up in Pigtown. I was educated in Pigtown, and that's why I learned the true meaning of service. It was there that I got involved in Little League Baseball and learned about the priorities that are in our education, affording children a world-class education and the trajectory that it can put and change their lives later on down the line. I previously served on the Baltimore City Youth Commission representing the 10th District, where I organized and gained the trust of community leaders all throughout our communities. In my home in Curtis Bay, where I've lived in 20 years, where I moved when I was 4 years old and I lived till this day, up until parts of Violentville and Morrow Park. My purpose for running for City Council is because it's time for city government to focus on 2 very simple things: real people and real issues, so that our city can get real results. They've neglected the real issues, and as a result, the real people have suffered for too long. My priorities as city councilman are going to be education, public safety, and employment development. We need to make sure that our children have world-class 21st century educations regardless of their zip code. That includes universal all-day pre-K, that includes social-emotional learning, and strengthening our CTE program so that we can prepare our students for the 21st century workforce. Everybody in this room, regardless of where you live, wants to live in a safe neighborhood. My platform on public safety is based in a prevention standpoint. How do we make sure that we get violent repeat offenders off of the streets? Let's make sure we hold folks accountable, but also make sure that we're giving the support where it's needed. And repeat offenders are getting the diversion and stifling their repeat behavior. And lastly, employment development. We have income inequality in this city, which leads to the fact that people cannot afford housing, which leads to the fact that people cannot afford to pay for their rent, and it's unfathomable. We need to make sure that people have family-sustaining wages with benefits, paid time off, maternity leave, paternity leave, and making sure that people have the opportunity to collectively unionize and bargain for their right for a good family-sustaining job. Thank you.
All right.
So we'll start on this side and go that way this time. This question is from the audience. What are you going to do to ensure our city is better managed so that money is not left on the table from things like Uber taxes, the water bills, which I think refers to the Ritz-Carlton, which we spoke about earlier. And I'd also refer to a question that came up earlier that I don't know if you people heard about the pilot agreement in which the nonprofits only pay 15 nonprofits only pay $6 million a year collectively, which is a lot less than they would be paying in taxes. So let's start on this side and.
So I'll start with the pilot question first. 2 of those 15 nonprofits are located in the 10th District, St. Agnes Hospital and MedStar Harbor Hospital. Yes, we need to renegotiate the pilot because the fact that these institutions who are only paying $15 million when Johns Hopkins is the #1 employer in Baltimore City is unacceptable. I can go on and on about that. Secondly, how are we going to make sure that our money is being used appropriately? We need to make sure that audits are being done independently and that the oversight that the City Council is supposed to use is being used appropriately. Making sure that, let me touch on DPW. The fact that the Ritz-Carlton went 10 years without paying a water bill is unacceptable. We therefore need to, just like we do monthly audits of our police department, we need to do monthly audits of DPW, not only for the fact that the Ritz-Carlton didn't pay a water bill for 10 years, but also for a fact that we don't talk about a lot, is the fact that our city is under a federal consent decree for our sewage system. So we need to make sure that we're meeting the benchmarks for our federal consent decree for our sewage system. We need to attack the lead in our water and make sure that we are on track to make sure we have clean water in our city.
All right.
So similar to what Ray was talking about, but more importantly, making sure that those tax increases or tax payments need to scale to inflation. Oftentimes, you do have nonprofits that are not paying taxes, that they are just paying a standard rate. We need to go, as a city council, we need to go back to the negotiating table to negotiate these pilots and TIF programs to make sure that that money is going back into the community and it is scaling at inflation. That's oftentimes the legal loophole that ends up happening, is that the taxes are not scaled to inflation, or where the nonprofit is. Similar to what Ray was saying, the two of the 15 nonprofits are in the 10th district, so making sure that hospitals are paying their fair share of taxes as well. I am a public health practitioner, and I fully know about the value-based system that most of these hospitals and nonprofits are under. It is no excuse for you not to be paying your fair share of taxes. Speaking to, what was the other question? Oh, sorry, thank you. I get spirited, sorry.
Yeah, so there's a lot of questions in just a short period of time.
Sorry.
Obviously, we have to, no, it's good. Obviously, we have to revisit the pilot. We have to do it before it expires. We need the money, we need to be able to pay for Kerwin. That's easy. The 12th district is flanked by Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins Hospital. Johns Hopkins has not been a good neighbor to the 12th district. And
Yes.
I mean, we can go into the private police. We can talk about whether they're actually fulfilling the part where they're supposed to, in the pilot, where they're supposed to be bringing a deeper benefit to the city. There's a lot of issues with Hopkins. But the other wait, there's more. There's another
Well,
thing.
about, there's
Money on the
table.
Yeah, and so we can't leave money on the table when we have important things to pay for. And you can read some of my ideas at philipwestry.com.
All right.
Yes, renegotiate, relook at pilots, but once we pass one state, one rate, and it is realistic, particularly if you get me on council, that's gonna probably roughly cut our tax rate in half and reopens all those questions without greatly cutting our revenues and probably actually increasing our revenues. So the pilot issue will be eased by one state, one rate, but yes, renegotiate. When you get your Bill marker, there's some of my little cards. One of the 4 promises, better city government. I'm a retired state employee and the secretary of my union. I want to do, and the better city government plank is talk not just to management, somebody talk about management saying everything great, just to management and union, but I want to sit with the frontline workers, not in anger, not whatever, but sit with the frontline workers and say, what can we do to let you serve us better, to do your job better? And if there's something fishy going on, I think we're going to hear about that if we talk to the frontline workers. So there's answers.
Always something fishy going on.
So to the first question, we most definitely need to renegotiate the pilot. I live in Oliver community, which is right down the street from Johns Hopkins Hospital. Not only are they not paying their fair share, we're also giving them a whole bunch of land, which our people have, a lot of communities have been ran out of.
Yes.
And now a community that had people living in there now has a property that's worth that's selling for $300,000. So we most definitely need to renegotiate. Second thing is about accountability. We leave all this money on the table. We got to start making sure. So prior to 2016, I believe Baltimore City haven't been audited in like the last 30 years. That's the issue. We most definitely, as new people that want to go into city council, that we got to hold ourselves accountable and make sure that doesn't happen again.
All right.
All right, so yeah, renegotiate the pilots for sure. Yes, definitely do that. To speak to our accountability issues, especially when it comes to water bills, I'm the only candidate in the city who is calling for comprehensive water bill relief. One of the ways that we do that is make Hopkins pay their fair share, right? Like, they're not paying taxes because they're a nonprofit, but they are overlogging the heck out of our water infrastructure. They don't have to pay for it because they don't pay taxes, right? So like, every person in this room uses about 1,500 gallons of water per month, right? That's just rough estimate. Hopkins uses at their hospitals 500 gallons of water per bed per day, right? There's no reason that they should be paying the same rate for water that you and I pay. Doesn't make any sense. I'm the only candidate up here who has called for the indictment of Rudy Chow, former director of DPW, because it's unconscionable to me that people have died because their water's been cut off, but meanwhile, Hopkins gets to sit here and just like do whatever they want and continue to be a parasite in our community. There's a reason that
Parasite.
that I'm sitting over here. I'm to the farthest left of anyone in the city. They're left.
So unfortunately, we're out of time for this panel, so we need to move on. Let's give another